You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 2nd meeting for the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Michigan City Common Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. I would like to ask if you would all please silence all of your electronic devices and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Madam Clerk, if you would on roll call.
Mr. Beatrice.
Present.
Mr. Coulter.
Present.
Mr. Dabney.
Present.
Dr. Cora.
Present.
Ms. Lee. Present. Ms. Moldenauer.
She is online. Councilwoman Moldenauer, if you could remove your mute. If you can go on, Madam Clerk, and we'll come back.
Mr. Nelson.
Present.
Mr. Prezebalinski.
Present.
And Ms. Chilman.
Present.
We have 8 present and 1 in silence. We have a quorum.
Thank you. And again, Councilwoman Moldenauer, if you could please remove your mute to acknowledge that you are in attendance.
Present.
Thank you. Also, before we move forward, Councilwoman Moldenauer, oh, thank you. There you are. I was just going to ask if you could turn your camera on when it comes to any votings. Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have approval of minutes, which is our regular council hybrid and Zoom, May 19th, 2026. Have the council members had the opportunity to review, and if there are any corrections or any changes that needs to be made? If there are none, may I entertain a
Motion
motion?
to approve. Report.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Mr. Prezebalinski.
Aye.
Ms. Chilman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Dr. Cora.
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. And Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
In the regular council hybrid Zoom, May 19, 2026, approval of minutes have been approved. Next, we're going to our reports on standing committees. And do we have our finance committee meeting report?
Yes, as you can see, I just finished typing it up. All right. The Finance Committee meeting of June 2nd, 2026 was called to order by Chairman Dabney at 6:02 p.m. to review and approve claims since our last meeting. Committee members, Councilman Dr. Cora, Councilman Beatrice, and City Controller Tamiko Smith, and Assistant City Controller Ann Schaefer were all present. Claims reviewed were $2,707 from the Riverboat Fund, $0 from the Boyd Development Fund, and $101,883.71 from the Rainy Day Fund, for a total claim docket of $104,590.71. There were clarifications and discussions of the INPERS city payments that appear on tonight's docket. And then there were discussions about ordinance and resolutions that were tabled, which resulted in one of the items being clarified with the $15,000 transfer that was in the resolution. And we were asking what department was that for, and that was for the Vector Department. And there was also discussion about the ordinance titled amending section 2-322 in the Michigan City Municipal Code regarding methods of payment accepted by the city. Chairman Dabney presented a track change document in the now therefore to section, changing the words may to shall. And that will be presented as an amendment by substitution later in this meeting. So the full council can vote on that. Councilman Beatrice moved to recommend approval of the docket. And with a second by Councilman Dr. Cora, the motion was approved unanimously. There were no public comments. Finally, a motion by Councilman Beatrice and a second by Councilman Dr. Cora. The meeting was adjourned at 6:22 p.m. And I will give a detailed breakdown of the dollar, where they came from, and the different invoices that were taken care of, different claims here. From the Riverboat Fund, we had Sultan Ford Inc. That was for $2,707. That was city vehicle payment. So that concluded the Riverboat claims at $2,707. There were no claims from the Boyd Development Fund. And from the Rainy Day Fund, we had Schneider Geomatics, $1,430. And that was for engineering consultant payments for our sanitary district. And then also we had the Indiana Public Retirement. There were 5 payments in total, $100,453.71. And that was to make up retirement payments for non-retired city employees. And this goes back to the $400,000 that we approved in order to be able to make these payments back to the state. And the total rainy day fund payments, $101,883.71. And a total claims docket, once again, of $104,590.71. And then also, we went over the 2026 Riverboat and Rainy Day Fund Statement of Cash Position. In the Riverboat Fund, we have $5,243,891.23. In the Rainy Day Fund, we have $1,221,356.71 for a total of $6,465,247.94. And that concludes my Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Councilman Dabney. Next on our agenda, we have reports from boards and commissions. Do we have any reports from boards and commissions? Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Madam Clerk on the vote, please, for the claims.
I need a motion.
May I entertain a motion?
So moved. Support.
Second. Madam Clerk on the vote, please.
Mr. Preselinski.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Dr. Cora.
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. Moldenauer. And Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
And the claims for June 2nd, 2026 has been approved. Next on our council agenda, we have reports from boards and commissions.
Good evening. Daryl Borton, Chair of the Human Rights Commission. Just wanted to remind you about Sunday, June 14th, from 1 to 3. I'm calling on all elected officials, local pastors, law enforcement, students, citizens to join me out here in front of City Hall. Hands Against Gun Violence. If anybody wants to know any more, they can call me at 219-229-3017. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Borton, Councilman Beatrice.
I was saddened when I got here this evening to see that we had a letter from Danielle Corley. This is in reference to the Veterans Commission. Danielle is resigning because she doesn't have time restraints. She doesn't have the time to give us her attention and the support that the position deserves. And I'd like to thank her personally on behalf of the City Council for her leadership and all that she had done when as she was led that commission. And I'm hopeful that somewhere out there's a veteran who hasn't volunteered yet for the Veterans Commission and who would like to step up and volunteer to pick up the flag and press on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Beatrice. Are there any other reports from boards and commissions? If there are none, we will move on to reports of special or select committees. Do we have any reports of special or select committees? Any reports of special or select committees? There are none at this time. Next, we have reports from mayor or other city officers and departments.
Good evening, Council. Steve Forker, Chief of Police.
Good evening, Chief Forker.
Again, earlier today I sent you this PowerPoint presentation, which is essentially an overview of our 2025 public safety report. Included also in that email was a detailed report, giving individual statistics, all top to bottom, in and out, right, and a multi-year analysis. But again, I just wanted to give the essentially overview on obviously some things trending in good direction, some things and some areas of improvement that we've seen and are directing some resources towards. So again, good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a brief overview of the Michigan City Police Department's 2025 Public Safety Report. Tonight, I'll walk you through major crime trends, service demand, enforcement activity, community engagement efforts, and where we are focusing resources moving forward. While the report contains significant amount of data, my goal is to highlight the key takeaways and help tell the overall public story for our community. This headline is simple, right? Overall reported crime decreased again in 2025. Total reported offenses fell from 3,565 to 3,407, representing a 4.4% reduction. At the same time, calls for service remained strong at nearly 42,000 calls, and incident reports remained essentially unchanged. What this tells us that while officers remain busy responding to community needs, overall criminal activity continues to trend downward. One important point is that crime reduction does not mean less work. Calls for service increased slightly to 41,787, while incident reports remained stable. This demonstrates that residents continue to rely on and engage with the police department. While we see high call volumes alongside with declining crime, it often suggests prevention efforts, proactive patrols, community engagements, and early interventions are helping address problems before they become more serious. There were several areas in which we saw meaningful improvement. Drug offense investigations declined by 29%. Driving offenses decreased by 12.7%. Government interference offenses declined by 17.8%, and total arrests were slightly lower. Just to point out, a reduction in arrests is not necessarily a negative. Our goal is not to make more arrests. Our goal is to use resources strategically and focus enforcement where it will have the greatest impact on public safety. Again, while the overall trend is positive, there are areas that continue to concern us. Violent crime investigations increased 27.5%. Crimes against persons increased 17.5%. Firearm offense investigations increased nearly 38%, and traffic accidents increased 37.6%. I think these numbers are important. They help us direct where we can focus personnel, patrol efforts, investigations, technology, and community partnerships. So if there's one slide that captures our greatest challenge moving forward, it's this one, right? The increase in firearm-related investigations and violent crime are closely connected. Illegal firearms continue to be a significant driver of violence. As a result, we are dedicating more investigative resources, strengthening partnerships with local, state, and federal agencies, and utilizing intelligence-led policing strategies to identify offenders and intervene before violence occurs. Although the overall arrests decreased slightly, accountability increased substantially in areas that matter the most. Violent crime arrests increased nearly 83%. Firearm arrests increased 93%. Crimes against person arrests increased 36, and property crime arrests increased over 30. Those numbers demonstrate a targeted approach rather than a broad enforcement. We are focusing resources on violent offenders, illegal firearms, and repeat offenders who have the greatest impact on community safety. Public safety is more than enforcement. Obviously, community policing contacts increased again in 2025, and representing a 6.7 increase in the over the previous year. So these interactions continue to build trust, improve communications, generate intelligence, and strengthen relationships throughout our neighborhoods. Community policing is not a separate program, but is the core of how we operate every single day. As we progress through the year, our priorities have been clear. First, focusing on violence reduction through focused investigations and intelligence-led deployments. The second is firearm enforcement through proactive policing and partnerships. And third, traffic safety, particularly in response to the increase of accidents. Fourth, maintaining a strong community presence through visibility, engagement, and relationship building throughout our city. The crime trends at a glance. This slide summarizes the major year-over-year changes. The left side of the chart shows categories where we achieved reductions, while the right side identifies areas requiring additional focus. The key takeaway is that overall crime is moving in the right direction, but violence, firearms, and traffic safety remain priorities that require continued attention and investment. In arrest by activity, this chart reinforces the point of enforcement efforts in becoming more targeted and effective. Firearm arrests nearly doubled, while violent crime arrests increased dramatically. These outcomes reflect focused investigations and strategic resource deployment. Our officers are concentrating efforts where they have the greatest impact on public safety. And so calls for service and community policing. These numbers highlight the balance between responding to the community needs and proactively engaging our residents. For nearly 42,000 calls for service and more than 6,400 community policing contacts demonstrate that our department remains actively engaged in our community every single day. The combination of reactive and proactive policing is essential to long-term public safety. So the transparency remains important to this administration. This presentation is intended to provide a concise overview, but the full report contains detailed offenses and breakdowns, a 5-year trend analysis, and additional data for anyone interested in a deeper dive review. We want the council and the public to have access to the meaningful information about the work being done on behalf of their community. So I think what this ultimately the data tells us, in summary, it's a balanced story. Overall crime is down. The community engagement remains strong. Accountability is increasing in key offense categories. And at the same time, violence and firearm-related offenses continue to present challenges that require focused attention and ongoing investment. So in closing, the 2025 report shows an overall crime is down. Service demands remain high, and our officers continue focusing on the issues that matter to public safety. We remain committed to reducing violence, addressing illegal firearms, improving traffic safety, and maintaining strong relationships to the community that we serve. I appreciate the continued support from the mayor and the city council. Public safety is a shared responsibility, and the progress reflected in this report is a result of these strong partnerships between law enforcement, city leadership, community organizations, and our residents. I'll also include, again, you did get the attached crime report in its entirety. We will have copies of those at the police department, at our records division. If anybody wants to come up and obtain those copies there, they can just come into the front lobby there, and those can be obtained through our records division. So, thank you.
Are there any comments or questions from the council? Councilman Dabney?
Yes, Chief Walker, could you please explain how the state law change of allowing folks turn 18 years of age and to go buy firearms with no permit and no license, what type of pressure has that put on not only Michigan City Police, but around the state of Indiana?
Again, I mean, we're seeing more and more people, I think, at a young age, right? Obviously carrying firearms, and unfortunately the state law doesn't require any, firearm safety courses or any of those things required, right, to even purchase, right? So just being 18 and right, having a clean record, you can essentially go out and buy a firearm and then you can carry it openly. Right. Where in the past you had to do the background checks and do the, fingerprints through the state police and whatnot. Right. So there was, again, I would say a process. Maybe it wasn't I don't agree. Maybe it wasn't the best process. But again, it's becoming readily available. Again, it's their right to bear arms, and we are ultimately seeing that. I think we're seeing that at a younger age now. And, unfortunately, right, people are doing carrying firearms without the proper training and knowledge and safety and security in which they should be.
Dr. Cora?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam President. Chief Walker, I have several questions. Just to follow up on the firearms, the prefrontal lobe in the brain doesn't really develop until 25.
Yeah.
And that's what gives emotional stability. And how many of these firearm offenses were in young people, like less than 20 or 21?
I don't have that specific number in front of me. I'm sure that we could probably.
Can you extract that?
Yeah, it would probably be a process, but I'm sure we can figure out, those firearm type related offenses and or the age in which they are involved. I think, that is probably a critical a number, right? Like you indicated, right? The brain ultimately is not fully developed till we be 25. And like Councilman Dabney indicated, right? People as young as 18 are purchasing these firearms. So again, sometimes those thought processes and decision making skills have not fully developed. And, people are putting themselves in particular situations.
The second question I had was community presence. You mentioned about community presence.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening with the access to firearms because of the laws at the state level and federal level? There's nothing we can do about it. It's beyond our control.
Correct.
What can we do which is within our control to cut down this violence from firearms or violent crimes? Will increasing community presence make a difference? Does the police need more resources to make it happen? What can we do to cut down
Yeah. I mean, I think it just has to be a continuous effort from, I would say different facets, right? It can't just be law enforcement. I think it has to be other community leaders, right? Council, schools, churches, right? Faith-based organizations in which we can educate, right? I think it's important to educate and help these young people develop those critical thinking skills and whatnot. And again, as far as, firearm safety, I don't think that we are going to get in the world of training, right? The civilian world on firearm safety, but I think it's important for us to continue passing on educational resources or where they can get, said training, let's say maybe approved type training, or endorsed, right, by maybe the police department or whatnot, so we can educate these people on that firearm safety and or, decision-making skills.
The last question is, I do get calls from constituents about the homelessness situation, about people sleeping in front of their homes and businesses and all. I know it's a tough problem. A lot of it has to do with mental health issues. And from the police perspective, if you get a call from somebody that somebody is in front of their business.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do?
I mean, again, obviously, first thing is, right, we encourage them to call, right? A lot of times they don't call, they just think, right, it's going to get addressed. And,
Right.
it's oftentimes doesn't, right? And then it becomes, people get upset because things aren't happening. Again, I would just encourage them to call first, right, and let us know, and again, if it's a business owner or a property owner, and if that person is unwelcomed, right, they're loitering, and they're in front of their business, right? Those are conversations that we can have for people and push them along, right? They're not going to go to jail for loitering out front, but we can push them along and say, hey, you're not welcome here. You're not a paying customer. You're not welcome to be here, right? And again, a step farther, right, could be a trespass warning of some sort, right? That is issued by the police department, so we can document that. Hey, I've given you a written trespass warning. If that person were to return then to said property, then they could be arrested for a misdemeanor offense. So that would be a progressive type tactics that we could take with that. And again, obviously, if they returned again, or I know that there is a lot of unwanted activity, right? People in alleyways and whatnot, maybe doing some things, that's not decent in public. Again, we encourage people to call. I know recently we've seen a few more of those calls. We've had some communications with a few downtown business or Franklin Street businesses there, and we're continuing to work with those concerns. But again, we just encourage them always to call. Don't think somebody else is going to. Please call. Again, you're not bothering us. Again, sometimes we have to weigh the call for service. It may not be an immediate response. If you're ever in fear or in danger, you have to say that, right, or emphasize that as well, right? Somebody loitering to somebody threatening is an escalation, right, in which we would have a faster response time.
So when you confront these individuals, do they say that they don't have enough capacity in the homeless shelter, or why are they there?
A lot of the ones that I think are in the public are the ones that don't want to go to the shelters or have been removed for the shelters because they can't follow the rules, or don't want to live by those rules or guidelines in getting that housing. So again, that's generally the ones that are in the public face are the ones that either don't want the help or don't want or can't be there because they refuse to follow the rules.
Thank you.
Councilman Prisbalinski.
Thank you, Madam President. Chief Walker, thank you for your presentation tonight.
Mhm.
And I want to applaud the Michigan City Police Department for everything they do every day, going out there and basically putting your lives on the line, as been shown here lately. And I just want to say, keep up the good work. A couple of my concerns are, like Dr. Cora's, is these firearm offenses, whether it's younger people, older people, what have you. And yeah, the laws have changed. They've changed downstate. We all know that. But when something bad happens, instead of getting mad, possibly call your Republican state legislator that voted to change the laws downstate. Or write your Republican governor that stands behind this kind of law. It makes no sense whatsoever to have that law enacted right now. And the buyback program for guns, does Michigan City have a buyback program presently from the police department?
No, I mean, we have a long time since we did one of those, to my knowledge. I mean, probably upwards of 15 years, I think. It's worth looking into again. All right. I honestly, I don't, I know in the past, right, we did, whether it was gift cards and things like that, that they would do before. So again, yeah, it's definitely worth looking into, right, to get some of those, essentially, right, the firearms that are sitting on the shelves, maybe that grandpa or grandma or whoever had, and I don't know what to do with this, right? But if they could turn it into us safely for something in return, that would be obviously a great.
Yeah, and possibly, an 18-year-old would, if we're giving $200 for a pistol, he may go, you know what, I can use that $200 rather than use this pistol in my back pocket.
Right.
And I'll go turn this thing in. So I'd like to see next time you put your report together, come back with some type of program that the police department is looking into. And we have the funding for that type of program. Yeah. But anyway, thank you. And as always, be safe.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Lee?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Chief Worker, for your presentation. My original questions were similar to some of the other council people, but I went through your 5-year stats that you gave us, and it does have youth firearm-related offenses. So before the law was enacted in 2022, there were 7 firearm-related offenses for firearm possession by a child, a misdemeanor, and then in 2025 there were 14. And then firearm possession by a child, level 5 felony. In 2022 there was 1. In 2021 there was 0, and then 2025 there were 3. And then non-fatal shootings in 2021 there were 19, and 2025 there were 9. Attempted murder, level 1 felony. 2021 there were 2, and 2025 there were 6. And then murder, 2021 there were 5, and 2025 there were 7. So the numbers, the stats do correlate with the change of the state law.
Yeah. And again, right, those are obviously the areas of concern in which we're, I would say focus more of the strategically or intelligence based, right, the strategies in which, we employ some of those things to focus, right, on the violent crime and or firearm type offenses. Obviously, those are directly related.
Councilman Deirdre?
It's just unconscionable that we have kids and adults who are murdered in our city, and it rarely ever happens in private. Usually there are witnesses around, and I just don't get it. We have a hotline. I just don't get it. If you see something, why can't you say something in private on a hotline where no one knows you said anything? I just don't get it. Why people don't. The first thing they do is post something on Facebook. It doesn't dawn in them that they might be next. It amazes me. So it just makes your job that much more difficult. And I imagine you've got officers who know that there are people there who saw everything and won't say a word. That's got to be very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down, right. We want to hold those accountable, right? And I think society needs to get back to that, right? And holding these individuals that are creating these violent crimes, accountable for their actions. Unfortunately, right, we are seeing some younger adults, right, committing these crimes, and they should bear, stiff penalties, to ultimately deter anybody from committing these crimes, right? Because ultimately, right, when somebody loses their life, there's no getting that back, right? And people need to be held accountable for those.
If you do have people who call a hotline and the information they give you does lead to an arrest, do you publish that? And I would put that in the paper and say, okay, here's what happened. We wouldn't have known about it until someone finally called the hotline. And because of that, we took a dangerous person and put him in jail.
Yeah, I think sometimes it just depends on the circumstance. Sometimes they want to provide that information and remain completely anonymous, not even, right?
Well, I'm not saying
we're not going to give out names, but even at the point where we don't want to say, hey, we did receive a tip, but that stuff eventually does come out, right? If it does, it does go to court.
I think you should tell the public that the hotline did work in this instant.
It's always there, and we have between our hotline and we have the ability, right, to obtain like Ring doorbell cameras, stuff like that, where it can all just be uploaded without being known.
I'm in favor.
So,
thank you,
Councilwoman Moldenauer. We can't hear you.
Thank you, Madam President. Chief Volker, thank you very much for your comprehensive report. I read it in its entirety this afternoon. And of course, I think that speaking for myself and the other city council persons, what's most unsettling is the increase in violent crimes and also the increase in gun-related deaths. I've done research on this particular area extensively in the past, and I would like to share with you regarding the gun buyback programs. Empirical research has shown that that does not directly reduce the violent crimes, nor does it reduce the number of firearm-related deaths. So money that may be going for something like that may be better focused on actually providing firearm training for our youth so they know how to safely store weapons and how to use them. So that's my 2 cents worth for that, but I wanted to share that this evening before all of us leave this meeting. Thank you.
And Chief Forker, I just have one. It's unrelated to the gun violence, but in your stats report regarding the traffic, I just have one concern as far as not just in my ward, which is the 5th ward, and I'm sure this is going on probably in other wards as well, but I am seeing an increase of use on e-bikes and mopeds and recklessly utilizing them. And I don't know if the youth or if the parents or whomever is making these purchases for this child understands what regulations, what the ordinance says in the city ordinance, to where I'm heading to work going down Michigan Boulevard and I see 2 kids on an e-bike coming from McDonald's. I'm on Michigan Boulevard and Hendrick Street. I'm at a red light. What do? Oncoming cars going across Hendricks just dashed right out in front of me, literally by a hair, missing these children. And I think that there needs to be some type of class or instructional class for those that are utilizing these, or if it is an ordinance on the books and if they are not writing according to the motors, the type of motors that operates these type of bikes, then they need to be adhere or return them back to their parents, and that they need to put these bikes up until they have the proper training on how to utilize them.
Yeah, was just making some notes there. I think, we'll have to get some information out on that. I know, a few years ago they changed like the different classifications as far as like mopeds, right? And I think engine sizes, but I think if I remember right, there was some speed related parts of that, those infractions, so which would then directly correlate to some of the e-bikes, right? I know they're supposed to be rated for this and that, but some of them go quite fast.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
And if I can say this too, they're mostly on the sidewalks, and I think we would all prefer them on the sidewalks to a certain degree, opposed to being in the street, but abide by 4-way stop signs or 4-way intersection. Just obey the driving traffic laws. Right. So, Councilman Prince-Belinsky.
Yeah, just one more comment. Since summertime is here, and I know that golf carts are not permitted on city streets, can you reiterate that to the council so they understand and that the general public understands that they're not allowed on city streets?
Yeah, we'll generate some, I would say, social media literature on that stuff. But golf carts are not allowed on any city streets here in Michigan City. There are special permits that can be obtained through the Parks Department, but those are on a limited basis and need to be applied to through the Parks Department. But again, no golf carts are allowed on city streets.
Okay.
So
thank you. And then another thing, and I get a few calls on this, and that's and I see it, and I know other council members do too, and the general public does, where people park, not just maybe on a third of the sidewalk, but they park on the whole sidewalk and block the whole sidewalk. I mean, and I know that the police write tickets for that. That's what code enforcement told me. Code enforcement takes care of the cars in the yard, and the police department takes care of the cars on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
right?
you can't park blocking a city sidewalk.
Okay.
Right. So if your driveway, right, essentially crosses a sidewalk, your car cannot essentially block that through of the sidewalk. Usually, right, you see the lines are cut right in that sidewalk, so you cannot block that.
So my point is, in your spare time, maybe you guys could take a look at that too. All right. I thank you.
Thank you. While you're here, school just let out. Could you remind us what the curfews are for our students?
Oh yeah, it's been a hot topic here. Let me pull that one up just so I make sure I get it correct, because there's a couple different between state law and city ordinance, right? We want to make sure that we have all of those correct. So let me just pull that up here. So essentially, right, our local ordinance, right, states that children's ages 15, 16, and 17, it is a violation for a child who is 15, 16, or 17 to be in a public place between midnight and 5 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday, and then after 10 p.m. on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, before 5 a.m. So on the weekends, it's between this is city ordinance. So 15, 16, 17. On the weekends is midnight to 5 a.m. During the week is 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then for sorry, looking at the wrong one here. Let me see. Oh, sorry, I apologize. So again, children curfew. So city ordinance for children under 15. Again, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Any day. Yeah, so under 15 is 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. any day. Again, those are city ordinance. On the state law, right? So then it's essentially an hour difference between city ordinance and state law. So again, children 15 through 17, curfew violation for children 15, 16, and 17 to be between, on the weekends, of 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. and then 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. through the week. And then under 15, it is 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. any day. So again, there's a slightly difference in between city ordinance. It says 10 p.m. State law says 11 during the week. And then on the weekends is 1 a.m. for 15, 16, 17. And the city ordinance says midnight. So.
And what are the consequences if they are caught outside after curfew?
City ordinance violation, right? For between those hours of essentially that hour difference between 10 and 11 or 12 and midnight for those age groups would be just like a citation, right? A city ordinance violation. Between the state law curfew would be an arrestable status offense.
Thank you.
And that's without an adult.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's parameters around it, right? If you're coming to and from work, school, not really school-related functions that late, but there may be special circumstances in which, but yes, without the presence of an adult.
Councilman Dabney.
Yeah, and real quick, and we are following city ordinance or state law?
They're both enforceable. right? So between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. for under 15, right? That's a city ordinance violation,
Okay.
right? At 11 p.m., that's an arrestable offense.
Okay. Yeah, I just wonder because I don't know we can't usurp the state in certain laws, and I was just wondering, is there one that we have to follow over the other? But thanks for the explanation.
Are there any other comments from the council? If there are none, thank you so much.
If I could, I would just like to take a moment and just ask everybody to continue to send prayers to Deputy John Samuelson. Right, he's fighting a good battle. We have received some promising news, but still has a road ahead of him. But I'd just like for everyone to take an opportunity and say a few prayers for Deputy Samuelson and his family as they continue to fight a good fight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Fire Chief Barrett Taylor. Give our stats for the month of May for 2026. So we were called out for what could have been 14 fire calls. 12 of those happened to be just grass and trash. One was considered a structural fire. It was electrical, and another one was the other one was a vehicle. We have 15 hazardous situations. Hazardous situation, non-chemical, essentially just lines down. Hazardous materials, we had some gas leaks, fuel spills, let's see, and then 3 of them were just investigations. It turned out to be nothing. We had 280 medical calls. 212 were sick people, illnesses. 63 were injuries or traumas, which would have been accidents with injuries, shooting, stabbings, anything like that, falls. We had some medical alarms, which was 5. Somebody hit their little buttons or whatever. Narcan was used twice on those medical calls. Public service, citizens assist, such as lift assist, things like that, help people get back up. 13 of those, and 4 alarms, which have been like CO, smoke detectors and stuff. So we had 17 public service. 1 rescue, not 100% sure what that is. It just says transportation with land in parentheses. And then we had 68 non-emergencies, such as false alarms, good intent. You get there and there's really nothing, or somebody saw steam from a dryer vent and thought it was a fire. And 27 canceled en route. And then 3 support for law enforcement to help the police. That totals 398, but we actually have 420 calls, being that it's right at the beginning of the month. Some of those calls are still going through the system. So we have 22 that are not complete yet. They're still getting numbers attached to them from the county and stuff. So we had a total of 420 calls. 22 of those are not in that breakdown, which gives us 420 for the month of May, which brings us to 1,978 for the year to date on the total, which is lower than what we had year to date last year, which was 2,042 at this time. So we're like 64 lower than what we were at the same time last year. So, which is good. So, any questions on that? Any of those things?
Do the council have any comments? I have one. That rescue transportation, I'm just curious, could that possibly be the incident with the tree incident with the chopper had to airlift for the rescue?
Possible. I'll find out for you, because I'm curious myself.
That's what that was.
I read this to the Merit Commission last night. I saw it, and I didn't even catch that until I was actually reading it to them. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I actually want to find out myself. So, and I forgot to do that today. I was busy today, and but I'll get that for you. I'll actually email you guys what that exactly was.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
There.
So, if I could, I'd like to take 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5. I would like to maybe clear some things up or put a little more information to some things that were said at the previous council meeting by the firefighters that got up here, and the union president. And before I say that, a lot of people don't know. So I was a union officer for 17 years before I took this position, right up to the day before, which was everything from a trustee up to being president. I still support the union. I still pay my dues. I paid my dues from day one, and I'll continue to pay. So I don't take shots at the union. We'll handle our business behind closed doors when I have a problem with the union. I just feel that the rest of the story kind of needs to come out, right? All the information, should I say. So with that, when the union president got up last month, last month at the last meeting, we'll start at the beginning, because my goal here is to show that all this social media beatings and stuff that the mayor's taken, it's not her beating to take, it's mine, right? And I'll take that. I got that coming, essentially. And to show that I went to the Board of Works yesterday to get a light duty policy passed. And that was not exactly because they got up and spoke. That was something that actually had been in the works prior to that. So I won't get real deep into those details, but I will tell why it didn't happen that way. So we'll go back to the beginning. He made the comment that a pregnant worker started asking questions about light duty, and it was just taken away from us. When the email that was sent out to us and several other department heads, yes, there was questions asked, and it caused whoever within the city, HR, whoever, to start looking and investigating this to see what this light duty thing was. So apparently there were several departments within the city that had self-imposed, as they put it in the email, self-imposed light duty that needed to go to the Board of Works. Well, it was found that our light duty policy that we had been operating with since November the 5th of 2007 was actually invalid. It had never went to the Board of Works. So it was just essentially a memo that we were working off of. So at that point, they gave us a couple weeks and said after that, gave the whole city, at this point, there'll be no more light duty. So that's how that went. So coming October, he says he had a meeting with the mayor in October, which he did. Me and one of my deputy chiefs, we actually had a meeting with the mayor. And about a week or so later, week and a half, 2 weeks later, they had a meeting with her as well, the union president, probably a couple of the other executive board members. And they come up with a light duty policy, right? And that light duty policy was actually put into place until the end of the year, all right? So it was going to be put in place till December 31st with the hopes that they would actually negotiate something, because the union is really adamant about having this in the contract. And that's fine. I stay out of the union business as far as that goes because of my position. I give them that respect. I don't go to the union meetings or anything like that. So I don't know what went on with the meetings or anything like that, why it never got put in the contract, but they're really adamant about it going into the contract. But the mayor gave them a policy until the end of the year, hoping that they would negotiate something. After the first of the year, it kind of drug on a little bit, and nothing was really happening. There was nothing being negotiated. So in March, and this is where my, I guess for lack of a better words, we'll call it a failure, came into being. I was emailed by the attorney, Amber LePage, that the mayor wanted me to put this policy and incorporate it into our policies. No problem. I just wanted to clarify because I was under the understanding that it was being negotiated into the contract. The mayor then emailed me and Amber and said that she wants something in place, not knowing how negotiations are going to go. She would still like something in place. I said, cool, no problem. So where I took the email to mean was we were going to incorporate our policies. And what was known at the time was we are still in the process of working on updating all of our policies that haven't been updated for some of them since 1997. So we're trying to update them. So my thought was, I'm just going to incorporate them right there. We're going to do it all at once because we were about to have workshops with the Board of Works. It's taken a little longer than expected. We had to cancel those workshops. So it kind of, I wouldn't say it fell to the side, but it stayed there with the policies and it didn't get taken in. I wanted to do it all at once and not just piece out policies. This was passed on to the union president by me at least twice. that, hey, we're incorporating it into the policy. We're going to have a policy. We're going to have a light duty policy. And at least one time, by the attorney herself, she passed that on to the union president. And then they came to the council meeting, right? That's on them. They have the reasons for doing that. I can't stop anybody from doing that. But my point to all this is I wanted to clear those things up because I won't say it like I did at the Board of Works meeting, but the beating that anybody would get for this is on me, right? There was nothing malicious or ill-intended on my part. And that's that. And to show that this wasn't like a direct result of what was said at the meeting. But we went ahead and did it. And we got up with the company. We're going to have it put into our regular policies. But there is a policy in effect now, right? So that's where we stand with that. And I think that's about it on my part. Anybody got any questions on that?
No, I just would like to say thank you for elaborating on that into depth detail in support to clear up any misconstrued information as to why those statements were being made and moving forward. So it is great to know that that will now be implemented.
It was in effect. Actually, the day me and the mayor talked, prior to that, I put it in effect immediately. And I said, I'll get it on the Board of Works, and that's what we did. And the one individual that has been, it has affected, that would have benefited from light duty. We're taking care of that individual. They're on light duty, and we're handling some things with them, and we're working it out, and making it right with them, and they're comfortable with what's going on. So, fortunately, it was just one person that was affected. But yeah, we went ahead and implemented that, and they have a policy now. The rest of everything with what's going on, that's on them, and everybody else is not. I have nothing to do with that. But I wanted to clear up that part and let it be known. Anybody got anything? Anybody and any naysayers out there in the social media land and the real world got any questions or any concerns or think I'm lying? I got the proof right here in my hands. So anybody wants to find out, come and get me, and I'll show them to you. But yes, it's not on the mayor. That part's on me. Since March, that's definitely on me. Like I said, she had a policy in place till the end of the year. Negotiations were going nowhere. She wanted something implemented, and the way I was going to implement it, yeah, I stumbled with that one. So
Again, thank you.
no problem. No problem. Anything else? All right, you guys have a great evening.
Thank you. Next on the council agenda, we are down to petitions. Madam Clerk, do we have any petitions for this evening?
There are no petitions.
Madam Clerk, on communication?
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on May 28th from Taylor Scott regarding concerns with litter in the Uptown Art District. Correspondence was received May 27th from Patricia Matthey regarding her letter of support for the elected leadership of Michigan City. Notice of a public hearing was received May 20th from the Michigan City Board of Zoning Appeals regarding development standard variance being held on Tuesday, June 9th. Notice of a public hearing was received on May 18th from the Michigan City Plan Commission regarding petition P-900-26 being held Tuesday, May 26th. That's it.
Madam Clerk, our first resolution this evening by title only, please.
A resolution by title only, a resolution increasing and decreasing certain appropriations within the budget of the General Fund 1101 for the year 2026 in Michigan City, Indiana. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman.
Thank you. And the reason why this was tabled was due to that, as it was stated under the finance comments by Councilman Dabney, that they wanted to know what department this was for. This was for vector control. However, these funds is also appropriated or reallocated to the vectors control from the redevelopment, where the redevelopment gives to the vector control for their salaries, so from the salary budget, so from which is approximately $70,000, and then the rest is for small equipment and maintenance and things of that nature. So all this money has already been approved. It's already in the budget. So we're only decreasing account fund number 1101401.411.014 from temporary wages of $15,000 to increase account fund number 1101.401.423.031 to small tools and minor equipments for $15,000. If anyone wants to know small tools or minor equipment, it will be the same thing, that this is something that is funded every year, and for the equipment for vector control to continue to maintain the additional properties. I would like to open this up for public comment on this resolution. Are there any public comments on this resolution? Any public comments on this resolution? If there are none, public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Councilman Dabney?
I was looking to see if anybody else had any comments. Seeing none, motion to approve.
Support.
Are there any questions from the council? If there are none, Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Dr. Cora.
Aye.
Ms. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
And Mr. Prespolinski.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
And the resolution increasing and decreasing certain appropriations within the budget of the general fund, number 1101 for the year 2026, has been approved. Madam Clerk, if you would please, our first ordinance on second reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending section 2-322 in the Michigan City Municipal Code regarding methods of payment accepted by the city. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman, Mr. Prespolinski, and Mr. Beatrice.
And does any of the sponsors like to make any comments? Councilman Prespolinski?
Yeah, Madam President, we have to make a motion to approve the amendments. So I guess I'm making that a motion that we change in section 2322, item B from may to shall, and item C from may to shall. I think that's the only ones on there.
I'll support that.
Okay. Madam Clerk, on the vote to accept the amendments.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Dr. Cora.
Aye.
Ms. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Mr. Prespolinski.
Aye.
And Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you. I would like to open this up for public comment on this ordinance. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments on this ordinance? Do we have anyone online? We do not. Last call for public comments on this ordinance. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Are there any comments from the council? If there are none, this ordinance will be held over for third reading. Madam Clerk, our next ordinance on third reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on third reading by title only, creating section 2-420 in chapter 2, article 1 of the Michigan City Municipal Code to establish a fund for specific expenses related to riverfront dining with the city of Michigan City, Indiana. And this is also introduced by Ms. Tillman.
Okay. And again, this is in regards to the Riverfront Dining Marketing Fund. And what this is it's already established as a Riverfront Dining Marketing Fund, and the fund shall be a restricted and non-reverting funds, and which has been in place, but we were not collecting on that And this is also the source of fundings that should be any fees obtained by the city from any private party for the application or the processing, endorsement, maintenance, or renewal of Riverboat Dining three-way alcohol permit associated with any real property within the corporate boundaries of the city of Michigan City. We have Mr. York available if he would like to elaborate any further on that in regards to this.
I'll just come up here. Scott York, Director of Redevelopment. It's for the three-way liquor licenses that are the municipal riverfront licenses, which you guys reestablished that. We broadened that district at the end of last year. Just a couple other things I want to say. This will not be collected until July 1st of next year. I want to say that out loud. And we will notify the existing holders and say, hey, this is coming. We'll send a letter out. And then and like I said, obviously I've said this before, we're not out to run people out of town. That's not what we're going to do. I know this is something new, but we will not collect till the July 1st of that next year. And it's actually in our packet that we will not collect until that time. So yeah, there are 12 existing licenses, just in case you're wondering.
Thank you, Mr. York.
Yes, you're welcome.
I will open this up now for public comments. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Are there any public comments on this ordinance? And do we have anyone online? We do not. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council, Councilman Nelson.
Do we have, hello, thank you, Skylar.
You're welcome.
Do we have a projected revenue that this would generate?
So each license would then pay the $2,500. So it's going to be, so that's why I said there's 12. So just do,
Okay.
yes, yeah. It's going to fluctuate though, because, you know, like right now, we just lost a license. We had 13 and we lost one because the business closed. So it's always going to kind of be dependent upon if that business is we hope they all make it, but you know, there's going to be probably some fluctuations just depending on economics and things of that nature.
Would it be penalized if they're not able to make that payment?
So if they don't make the payment, there is a revocation clause in our packet. But again, this is something new, and you know, if we need to split it up or do something like that, you know, I don't want vacant buildings downtown. So that, yeah, so.
Are there any other comments from the council? If there are none, may I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Prespolinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
and Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. And this ordinance has passed. Madam Clerk, our next ordinance on third reading by title only, please.
An ordinance on third reading by title only, amending section 2-59 in the Michigan City Municipal Code regarding the order of business for meeting of the Common Council. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman.
Thank you. So in regards to this ordinance that I am introducing, again, the reason for this ordinance is to run an efficient meeting. It is not to silence anyone's comments or communications, things of that nature. I have listened, I have heard from those that are in support, and I have the same for those who are opposed from the constituents, the people of the city. Taking all that into consideration, and from the council, I would like to discuss this further with the council to move forward. I think that the ordinance our ordinance needs to be relooked at. And I would also like to implement or to put in some more guidelines in our ordinance in regards to our order of business. So with that being said, I would like to table this indefinitely, and I will bring this back up and present this back out to the public. May I entertain a motion?
Support.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Support by
Councilman
Joe.
Nelson.
Thank you. Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Miss Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Prespolinski,
Nay.
Miss Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
and Mr. Coulter.
Name.
And did Nancy say nay or yay?
Nay.
Okay, thank you. We have 6 in favor and 3 opposed.
In this ordinance to have this matter tabled indefinitely has been approved. Madam Clerk, we are now on our agenda under new business. And we have this as a vote for this evening for the Energy System Group ESG Year 6 Performance Guarantee Savings Report for the City of Michigan City. However, with the information that has been provided to the council, which we received the ESG report on May 18th, I am seeking a motion to have this matter of business tabled. May I entertain a motion?
Support.
May I entertain a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Miss Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Prespolinski,
Aye.
Miss Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
and Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 9 in favor and no one opposed. And do we have a date or what is this?
I would say we are June? What's our next? 2 meetings from today.
Thank you.
2 meetings from today. Next, we have, Madam Clerk, if you would, please, our unfinished business.
FYI, Mayor Andrews is requesting the advice and consent of members of the Michigan City Common Council regarding her new appointment of Ken Purse to the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission. Term begins immediately and expires on March 31st of 2027. Note that this advice and consent request was tabled at the May 19th council meeting until June 2nd, 2026 council meeting.
Thank you. So we have one for the advice. We have discussed the advice and consent, and due to that, it was being tabled. Was due to council persons had questions in regards to the nominee. Just for some clarity, I believe that has been obtained, and I would like to move forward. That is one individual, and I will ask for a consensus on a vote for Mr. Ken Purse. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Miss Lee,
Nay.
Miss Moldenauer,
Nay.
Mr. Nelson,
Nay.
Mr. Prespolinski,
Aye.
Miss Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Nay.
Mr. Coulter,
Name.
Mr. Dabney,
Nay.
and Dr. Cora.
Aye.
We have 3 in favor and 6 opposed.
Okay. Congratulations for, no,
No, it did
wait, you
not.
said 6 in favor and 6 opposed. I'm sorry, 6 opposed. My apologies. So we would then be seeking another advice and consent for the mayor for this position.
I will send correspondence to the mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have it cut off on my page. The council has one appointment to the Sustainability Commission due to Julie Smith's resignation on April 18th, 2026. Term will begin immediately and expire May 1st of 2027. The nominations is Cheryl Kronczynski, Dale Bates, and Shauna Hill. And I would like to open up the nomination.
You want me to take the
No, we're voting.
I'm sorry. Our voting is for Shauna Hill.
Yeah, I'll state who it is and they can say who they.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's vote. We did nominations. We're voting. Yes. Madam Clerk.
Okay. Mr. Beatrice,
Dale Batts.
Coulter, Mr. Coulter,
Dale Batts.
Mr. Dabney,
Dale Batts.
Dr. Cora,
Dale Batts.
Miss Lee,
Shauna Hill.
Miss Moldenauer,
Dale Batts.
Mr. Nelson,
Shauna Hill.
Mr. Prespolinski,
Cheryl Krasinski.
Miss Tillman,
Shauna Hill.
and that's it.
That's it.
We have 1 for Miss Krasinski, 5 for Mr. Bates, and 3 for Shauna Hill. Dale Bates.
And Batts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And congratulations to Dale Batts. I'd like to now go on to comments from the public. All comments from the public, we ask that you come up front to please state your name, full name, and your address, and you in your 3 minutes.
Ernie Hallahan, 302 Gladys Street. I did try to call the governor's office the other day, but there was no answer. I was going to complain about his. I really don't believe 18-year-olds should even own a gun, let alone carry one. They're not responsible enough at 18. You should have been at least 21 years old before you could even get one. And he should have left the permits alone, because that eliminated a lot of people. I mean, I followed their laws and their rules. I got my permit and paid him for a lifetime permit, and then he eliminates it. So it does me no good. I can still carry it, but I don't need the permit now. And Daryl was showing me something on his phone there. There were like 800 people killed in Las Vegas just recently on his phone. I don't know what it was. I'm going to have to get home and catch the news and find out. I know when I left the house, there was a guy had a bunch of people hostage with a bomb strapped to him. So the world's going crazy. It's not fun anymore. But as far as that communications, I still would love to see it stay in, regardless of what you do next time you bring it back up. I'm still for it. I'm against you voting it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ernie.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Shore, and I own a home at 72 Tryon Farm Lane in Michigan City. The entrance to Tryon Farm is only a few yards from the intersection of Royal Road and Tryon Road. On May 24th, I sent an email to Councilmember Moldenauer with photos attached documenting heavy truck traffic in both directions on Royal Road, contrary to what we had been told was the agreed upon traffic pattern, and showing significant airborne dust from the data center site all the way to and past the intersection with Tryon Road. My email also went to John Perret at Phoenix Construction, Will Schroyer at AF Hathaway, Broderick Green at Michigan City Data Center Google, and Wendy Vacher, Board of Works Director. I received a response from Councilmember Moldenauer and an automated response from Google Michigan City. One of my neighbors at Tryon Farm sent an email to the same recipients reporting continued truck traffic in both directions on Royal Road on May 26 and 27. She also received an automated response. On May 30th, I sent another email to the same recipients with photos documenting truck traffic on May 29th heading south on Royal Road, contrary to the traffic pattern we had been told was established, and significant airborne dust all the way to Tryon Road. Whatever agreement the city may have had is not being honored by the developer. Neighbors, students, people playing golf, and traveling on Royal Road are subject to airborne dust and dangerous truck traffic. Here's a thought. For every day the developer does not abide by the traffic plan and dust suppression, the city subtracts $100,000 from the tax abatement. Think that might get their attention? Or how about a community benefits agreement requiring the developer to provide and install 100 low-flow toilets to Michigan City residents struggling with water bills? Or subsidizing 100 energy-efficient appliances to those residents within a mile of the data center who are struggling with energy bill increases? Perhaps you convene a meeting of residents asking what would matter to them and how would they like to see the developer held accountable. What we've been witnessing and experiencing lately is untenable and must stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shore.
Good evening, Council. My name is Christopher Zabutis, 161 Concord. And as we already know, I represent the Proud Firefighters of Local 475. First, I want to thank the public for the overwhelming support shown since the last council meeting. Everything on social media, your likes, comments, shares, and messages absolutely made a difference. Public pressure matters. And your support was instrumental in helping restore a once long-standing benefit to your firefighters. So thank you. To be honest, I would have much preferred for this process to happen quietly and professionally behind closed doors during negotiations. For months, the firefighters tried that. Fortunately, we were met with roadblock after roadblock. But when firefighters are knocked down, we're going to fight our way back, and we're going to find solutions somehow, some way. Second, I'd like to acknowledge that yesterday, there was a policy approved by the Board of Works for light duty. I was unable to attend that meeting, but I want to publicly thank the members of the Board of Works for taking that action. For the firefighters who have struggled for the last 9 months without this protection, that decision matters. So sincerely. So thank you. I can't speak too good. However, while I'm grateful that a policy now exists, there's still important questions that remain. The policy that was approved yesterday was never provided to the firefighters or our negotiating team to review prior to its adoption. It's not the exact language we worked on. It's close, but they made changes and they never talked to us about it. Why weren't we consulted? And more importantly, why did it take so long? If a policy could so easily be approved within the last few weeks, why wasn't this issue addressed months ago? Why did firefighters have to spend 9 months fighting for something that was a long-standing practice? Why do firefighters recovering from injuries have to unnecessarily exhaust their leave? Why have firefighters had to delay necessary medical procedures, postpone their own recovery, and live with the uncertainty while waiting for action? Why did a pregnant firefighter go without pay before this issue was finally addressed? These are the questions that still deserve answers. Because while yesterday was a very important step forward, and we certainly appreciate it, none of it changes the fact that this problem should have never existed in the first place, and really should have been solved last year. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Pat Matsey, and I would just like to share the letter that I wrote to and submitted to the mayor and the council. Greetings. I'm submitting this letter of support for the elected leadership of Michigan City because I've grown disheartened and frustrated by the constant disrespect and criticism you are all subject to on a regular basis. I want you all to know your time and dedication to the daily operation of our city isn't going unnoticed or appreciated. Unfortunately, and I have been guilty of this, the residents with positive remarks are mostly remaining silent in the public forum of council meeting. Of course, there will be differing opinions and questions raised. I have never had a problem contacting or meeting in person with any city official to discuss an issue. Michigan City still has small town accessibility to our leadership. If residents come to City Hall, attend meetings or workshops, or even participate in community events, they will have opportunity for face-to-face conversation. No one steps up to be a mayor, a council person, or takes any position of public service without a great deal of thought. I'm confident everyone in these positions are making decisions they believe are in the best interest of Michigan City. So as a proud resident of Michigan City, thank you so much for all that you do. I wrote the letter because I came to realize that I have been letting those who are using their loudest, negative, and at times coarsest voices to drive the narrative. So I will push back, even if I'm a single voice, and present the image of Michigan City that I see every day. Kind neighbors, good kids, a city that's moving forward in so many ways. I urge others to stand up and speak out as well, to acknowledge all the wonderful people, places, and things that make up Michigan City.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments? We have one online.
This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I got something to complain about. We all need to contact Amtrak. They need to come and take down their abandoned station platform there at 100 Washington, right there behind City Hall. People are going there and living and sleeping there. It's a mess. That's a blight to our community, and you can't have beggars sleeping there like that. I went to the John Mellencamp Small Town Tribute concert. That's absolutely disgusting. They came here last year. They were all smiley. They wanted to get special approval to tear down the Coling Tower, work 24/7. They came before that we gave them approval for that. That now they need to come. They closed that station platform in 2022. If you want to ride the Amtrak train to Chicago or Detroit or all places in between, you got to go up to New Buffalo now. So they need to take that down so people don't be living there. You don't see that in other cities. Go down to cities like Carmel and Fishers and Noblesville, Westfield, Zionsville, all those cities where the rich people live. You don't see.
Where, Mr. Kolovic, you're sounding very distant right now. We can't really hardly hear you.
Well, They need to go take that platform down. You need the main contractor, his name is Lorenzo Perez. He was one of the representatives that came here, asked for the special approval to take down the power for 24/7. The email address is Lorenzo.Perez@Amtrak.com. Mayor Angie says they've already contacted and reached out to them, but nothing's happening. They don't care about us here. They only care about all the cities. That was one of those other cities, they'd be right on top of it. Yeah, good night. You be out.
Thank you, Mr. Kalavic. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name's Amy Lisinski and I live at 104 Mayfield Drive. I hope as I speak here tonight, I have all of you listening and respecting my voice at the microphone. I'm going to try and say this again because at least 2 members on the council spoke incorrectly on how data centers were allowed at 402 Royal Road, either at the last meeting or on social media. Yes, 402 Royal Road was zoned for M1. However, for anyone not aware, this means you must look under our city codes and see the list of approved uses. Data centers were not an approved use in our M1. In fact, I emailed this to everyone and every one of you, and I asked you to point out the line item, as you guys kept telling me this and saying it was there. Several of you told me it's there and I must just be missing it. Let me be clear and say this as slowly as possible. Data centers were not an approved use in the M1 for the light industry. It was a verification letter issued on April 30th, 2025, that the enforcement officer unilaterally approved the use in secret, completely hidden from the public. He did so by saying it was similar to indoor storage and warehousing. He did so stating he did research. Research that I FOIA requested and was told after the 170 delayed days response from the city that no research existed. It wasn't a similar use. This should have went before zoning, as every other city did. In fact, from speaking to many other people, so far, only our city approved it this way. I guess that falls in line with the secrecy and hiding it from the public. I ask all of you to find a similar use in Michigan City's light industry that is indoor storage or warehousing, that it was properly compared to, that uses the amount of undisclosed water that Google won't share, or electricity. Funny. So how was he able to say it was similar without that information that's hidden from the public? I ask you to find any of those same projects with 70 backup diesel generators, again located, that he was able to compare it to. If we can't, I stand here and ask you, how as a council are you accepting this information without demanding answers yourself? Because you may have voted on something that you trusted city officials to complete that they did not follow protocol on and lied about research. In fact, I was told by another city official that this project was so well vetted, the city determined that the project did not need to come before BZA for variances. With proper vetting, again, with what proper vetting? Because again, my FOIA showed no research was done. And just going even to that and echoing what was also shared, I have been constantly, emailing in and sharing the truck traffic that's been on Tryon Road. And it was 3 days in a row where we traveled down the road and we're passing at least 5 trucks. I've emailed in and emailed in. As I email in, I don't believe it's my responsibility to pass it on to other people. That's not what my job is. So I will always continue to email it in. But we are telling us we trust Google, we trust Phoenix, but they can't follow a simple thing with the direction of following the pattern to the roads. So no, we don't trust them.
Thank you.
Dominic Yankee, 904 Willow Spring Drive. On the subject of doing research, I was told before the tax abatements were approved by one city council member that Phoenix would not use diesel. When in fact, it turned out later, we found in fall of 2025 that they would be using 70 diesel generators. And another city council member, probably the one with the most education, was the one who told me that data centers in general have no negative health effects. I feel that proper research was not done on the subject. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the public with any other public comments?
Tom Donning at 205 East 11th Street. After the latest spate of human violence in Michigan City was announced that parents, guardians, schools, churches, neighbors, community leaders and organizations, and law enforcement will be working together to try and stop the violence. But there's one glaring omission from that list. That's the courthouse across the street. Let's face it, does anyone really pay attention to what happens in court? It's just one of those places where things happen and we think things are going okay. Well, some people do pay attention. They're pretty shocked, frankly. Do you know who also pays attention to what happens in court? Criminals. That's right. They pay attention to sentences handed down and learn that in Michigan City and LaPorte County, easy sentences are handed out routinely. Easy sentences for serious crimes to get you more time out of prison than in. Here's a few examples. Dante Hughes was arrested last August for unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon, battery with a deadly weapon, criminal recklessness, and intimidation. In a plea agreement, he got a 6-year sentence, 2 years in prison, including time served, 2 years work release, and 2 years probation. Michael Trauma was arrested last August and charged with unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon, resisting law enforcement, and possession of marijuana. In his plea deal, he got the same 6-year sentence. Oh, and he was also on probation for armed robbery when he was arrested in August. Here's one more. LaShawn Murray was arrested in April of 2025 and charged with aggravated battery, unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon, and criminal recklessness for shooting 2 people. In his plea deal, he got a 9-year sentence, 3 years in prison, including time served, 3 years work release, and 3 years probation. And guess what? He was also on felony probation at the time of his arrest. So why am I telling you this? In the paper I just handed out, there are suggestions on how you can help stop the violence. You can create and pass a resolution calling on the courts to start handing out real prison sentences for serious crimes, especially when they're pleading guilty to being a serious violent felon with a gun, and especially if they violated their probation with another serious arrest. Probation means freedom to a violent criminal, and it means they're out on our streets putting our safety at risk. Another resolution you could create and pass would call on the General Assembly to strengthen unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon to make it a level 3 or a 2 felony, which means higher bonds and longer sentences. In the same resolution, you could call on the General Assembly to make prison mandatory for that law, no probation. Here's one more. You could create and pass a resolution calling on the U.S. Attorney for Northern Indiana to review every single narcotic and gun arrest made in Michigan City for possible prosecution in federal court. If LaPorte County won't send criminals to prison, the feds will. For those of you who say there's little you can do to stop the violence, I just presented 3 opportunities to you that you can do just that. 3 minutes isn't long enough to go into detail, but if you'd like to learn more, I'll be available after the meeting.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Angie Nelson Deitch, 126 Lady Lane. Sorry for the delay. Had another meeting and I shared with that community group that you all had a meeting so that you couldn't be there as well. And just as the gentleman just stated, with the violence and the court system, I know that in the General Assembly we were included in the new gun violence task force that Senator Rodney Pohl was a part of. So that will unlock some additional funding for the city. So more to come on that. A couple of things. I know that Chief Forker got up and spoke. I know that we're going to be pushing and proactively utilizing the curfew and the state curfew law. So parents will need to know. We're going to put more information out, but that means an arrest, not a citation. So parents really need to know where their kids are and what they're doing, because the meeting I just came from, the school system was involved and parents and others. It talked about zero tolerance. We had gotten away from zero tolerance, and now here we are, right? So we have to think about what's going to be the best solution for this community to be safe. Following up on the firefighters, again, I met with the firefighters in October and and agreed to a policy. Policy was shared, they had it, and it wasn't being utilized. And it wasn't someone using unpaid time. They had bank time and they had benefit time. What's happening in our city, and you all have the budget, we pay out and sick pay and leave and vacation sellbacks almost $1 million a year to our employees. So again, I think there's more to it. Yes, there was a change, but again, from that meeting with the fire department, what came out of that meeting was a new benefit for all city employees. We didn't have a maternity or paternity benefit, but because of that meeting, we actually passed one for January 1st for all employees. So to get up here and say that is false, number one. I just want to make sure that you all know that was agreed upon. I have not had a conversation with the union since. So for them to want the updated version, it would have been nice to have a phone call from them to talk about it. I'm not a part of the negotiations with the council, but that policy was agreed upon back in October. Now, it was changed slightly because we ran it through our labor legal attorney, and they said you need to change it. So we just made it a little bit more broader for them, actually to their advantage. So I find that interesting. But on another note, with the dust, and everything that's happening, I did pull together a virtual meeting with Phoenix, Google, and department heads, and I shared some videos as well. There was a 28-second video that showed seven heavy loads going both ways. So we reviewed the routes, what was incorrect. We talked about the dust. This was last week. Things that need to be mitigated. I also talked about the roads. I shared pictures of the roadways that need to be repaved, asking for something to be memorialized in writing to make sure that we get all the money back, but also how are we going to make the change. So we have a follow-up, but we did meet last week to discuss it, and I shared video and images as well. And then all the money that's been spent on the roads over the last 3 years, because we had no idea it was going to have this heavy traffic. But, we spent, and you all approved, $375,000 spent on those roads already. So that is a thing. So we're going to continue to follow up on that and make sure we're good with that. But again, we have some meetings tomorrow with youth organizations. And as we talked about, earlier this evening, the gun laws is one thing. Parents know where the kids are and what they're doing. Because again, we can have all of the events in the whole wide world. Some of these young people are not going to be there. And just understand this is a different time and place for our young people with peer pressure, social media, and things that are happening. And you can't just blame the parent. But states are becoming more strict, and they're going to start penalizing the parents. The parents are going to have to pay for some of the things that their kids are doing. And it's not always that cut and dry. So I want us to be mindful of that. But I do agree that the court system has the power to make some of these things, they can assist us. Now, I will say, with the shootings, I have reached out to our prosecutor's office. I'm asking for more information for them to reach out to Porter County on what's happening because we have not received any additional information. So I've done that. But again, we have to make sure that we all know what's happening in the city and provide opportunities. So we are going to create a resource for all of the events and all of the youth programs that everybody's doing. So that is happening, and we're collecting that as we speak. But the curfew will send more information out about that, so that parents aren't blindsided if their kid gets arrested. We want to make sure that they understand what's happening. And then last, my 3 minutes is probably up.
No, 3 minutes. This is under your your mayor's department.
My 3 minutes is not up. Okay, so last, I know trash roundtables on the 9th, and really what that is a readout on some of the things that occurred over the last year. We're going to talk about change in schedules for the fall. We're going to talk about new toters. There are a lot of different things that are going to be changing, but also sharing the data of what was collected in spring cleanup and just in that short period of time, and at the airport, the tonnage that was spent and how much money we pay per ton. Again, we're creating a place where people can report anonymously and send video and pictures. It's going to be trash@emichigancity.com. We're going to be rolling that out at that time as well, because we need to catch people. The warnings are done after July 1st. People are going to be cited. You know, $2,500 is a hefty citation for dumping. And that's what's on the horizon. So we need to make sure that I don't want people. So this is what happens. We write the citation for $2,500 and they come to my office. And then they're crying about the citation. And it's like, well, you did the clean out. You were told, you were warned, and it's still happening. People are dumping, but until it hits their pockets, they're not going to do anything about it. So again, more to come on that. Any questions for me?
Any comments or questions from the council?
I do have one question.
Councilman Prisbalinski?
Yeah. The programs that you said, I guess, are they going to be developed? Is that what you're saying?
No. You're talking about. I'm talking about all the. There are tons of free events and paid camps that are happening every single day, just about all summer long. But they're all over the place. If you don't have social media, or you don't get the radio, or you don't have this, how do you know about it? So tomorrow we're meeting with organizations tomorrow and Friday, and we've created a form for them to upload their information so that we can keep one breathing document, and then we can post it and share it and let everybody else share it and pass it out at the churches and wherever else we need to pass them out at. But there are things going on almost every day, and a lot of the things are free. Between the library, the park department, special events, some of the churches, some of the nonprofit organizations, there are a lot of different things happening, specifically in the parks. And we've asked several organizations if they could just be present in the parks during those events, so that people have a safe space to go. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any other public comments? We have. Is it a question for the mayor, Councilwoman Moldenauer? Yes.
Yes, it is a question for the mayor, Madam President. Mayor Angie, I want to thank you very much for holding the virtual meeting with the developers and also the department heads regarding the truck traffic and the dust. I know that I've sent numerous emails to these entities, and they're not honoring what they promised us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not following the truck routes. They said they'd look into covering the trucks so that dust wouldn't be flying all over the place. And none of this is happening. So I can understand why the residents of Ward 6 are, quite frankly, sick and tired of this, because it's been going on for 9 months now, probably going on close to more than that at this point in time. So what guarantee do we have that these minor problems are going to be taken care of?
I agree with you, and that's why I don't trust that Phoenix will do it. Google was on the call, and I told Phoenix I don't trust them to do it. So we have to get it memorialized in writing. So that's what we're working towards. Because until we memorialize it and make sure that they're going to be held to some standard, this is where we're at. We can fine them. I know that they've been cited by the sanitary district on multiple times. So we will continue to do that. But what I've asked for is I need things in writing because talking to them is not working.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is last call for public comment. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council? Councilman Dabney.
Yes. At the last council meeting, you heard me talk about, with the gun violence. Somebody else came up tonight talking about passing resolutions to say that we support this and we support that. I understand where that's coming from. And I just have to reiterate as a city council member and the way it works, a resolution is basically saying that we support something. An ordinance is an actual law. So when we pass a resolution, we can say that, yes, we support, the courts doing something, and then we can turn that in and we can show our disgust for whatever it may be. But once again, it is not a law. So it would just be showing our support to see if we can have some kind of influence on those who make the actual law. So that is the difference. If anybody had any or did not know the difference between a resolution and an ordinance, resolution is basically saying we support something, and ordinance is a law. And I talked about you have to have a village to raise a child. And so I thought about that, and I actually reached out to the school system. And I'm waiting on a reply. The school system, I asked them, do you guys need mentors to help with the kids? For people to volunteer to be able to mentor and take a kid under their wing. We have a lot of people who say they support something of that sort or support the people of Michigan City. And so I'm going to be bringing a sign-up sheet that I can turn into the school system. And when they come back into school in August, you guys can be called and be brought in as a mentor for some of the children in there. So I want to bring that sign-in sheet so I can turn it into the school system, Michigan State area school system. And if you want to mentor a kid and step up and help out in terms of influencing the young minds of the students here in Michigan City, you will have the chance. And I'm going to have the sign-up sheet at every single council meeting so I can send that over to the school system. And I am waiting to get that back from them to say that I can do that. I'm pretty sure that they're going to take anybody who would want to mentor. And just a personal story with guns. And I've been trying over this last few council meetings to give a personal story. And the mayor mentioned, you always can't blame just the student. There's a bunch of different things that come into the mental aspect of these kids and why they're doing the shootings and so forth. And I actually use the word kids because a lot of them are our younger generations. And just a personal story about myself and how, even though I was a college graduate, my mind at the time was not, I would say, I guess it wasn't fully developed. Because when I got out of school, I actually went and purchased a gun. And I had this gun, and I kept it in the glove compartment of my car. And I was up playing basketball at the Water Tower basketball court, and I get into an argument with the guy. He's threatening that he's going to shoot me. I know he's not going to shoot me. I really knew that. But he threatened that he was going to do something to me. We continued to argue, and he started to walk off the court. I ran, jumped the fence, and easily grabbed his gun. Scared me to death. I actually went the very next day and sold that thing back to a pawn shop because it was so easy for me to grab a gun. And what would have happened if we would have had a real entanglement up there? If I would have shot somebody, I wouldn't be here today. I'd be in prison. So you know, these stories I'm trying to tell because I understand some of the things that happen with the kids growing up. We don't just sit here and not care about what happens. I have somebody who was a principal of mine, and you know, and these people put the time in back when I was coming through school to make sure I stayed on the right track. Like I said, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think back about that probably once every month or so that I actually ran and got a gun where I was going to, you know, possibly do something to somebody. So I just understand some of the pressures that are out there now that make these kids think that way. And we as parents, adults, leaders have to step up. Not just me, not just us, that'd be all of us. And this is why I'm going to circle back now to bring in a sign-up sheet so people, if you want to mentor and you care about the students and being able to affect these students, I'm going to give you a shot at it. You'll be able to sign up. I'll be able to turn your name into the school system. And when they come back in August, we will see if we can get you in to mentor some of the kids. I just think that would be great.
Councilwoman Lee.
Thank you, Madam President. So at the last meeting, I mentioned that my students and I had a conversation about what they think some solutions should be to this violence. One thing that they're really passionate about is hosting a 5K run walk for unity and safety. So here's your save the date for Saturday, July 18th. Time to be determined. There's going to be a community 5K run walk for unity and safety. This will be planned and brought to you by the Youth of Michigan City, the Northwest Indiana Ministers Conference, Michigan City Common Council, Mayor Angie Nelson Deitch, and supported by Michigan City Area Schools and the Michigan City Parks Department. That Saturday falls on the same day as Singing Sands, so it'll be in collaboration with that. So save the date, Saturday, July 18th, and more details to come with that. Another event that is coming up is Michigan City Pride Fest. That is Saturday, June 13th from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Guy Foreman Amphitheater right here in Washington Park. Thank you.
Dr. Cora?
Thank you, Madam President. You know, we have been hearing so much about data centers. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about AI. You know, a lot of people ask me, how is AI affecting my life? And believe it or not, it's not just searching on ChatGPT. It's much more to it. For example, in healthcare, I'll just give you a couple of examples. A radiologist who is reading films, and if they are reading like a mammography, then if they use their skills and if they add AI to it, the accuracy of that reading goes up quite a bit. So the combination of AI and human intelligence is called augmented intelligence. So that's what is happening, and it is being widely used. Second example I'll give you in healthcare. When I look at my electronic medical records, sometimes I have like patients who have had extensive history, about 5-6 years, like pages and pages. It takes about an hour to review it. Just click a button, AI button, summarize, and in 2-3 minutes, it'll summarize all that history of about 3-4 years into 2-3 paragraphs. So there are a lot of benefits from AI, and that's not going to go away. I think we need to understand what's happening in the world, and we need to adapt ourselves to it. It's going to make us more efficient. It is going to make us more productive. And that's going to happen in every field. I just gave you a couple of examples from medicine. In terms of economy, almost $1 trillion this year is being spent on capital expenditure for all this infrastructure for $1 trillion. And had it not been for that, probably our economy will be even doing worse than what it is. And so I think we need to adapt ourselves to it. The data center, my biggest concern with data centers is the rising cost of electric utility rates. And I think we as a council, we need to probably adopt a resolution, and we need to advocate at the state and federal level to make sure that the additional cost of this infrastructure for power generation is not passed on to residential customers. I think that needs to be borne by the businesses, by the end users. So over the next few weeks, hopefully I'll come up with a resolution, and if we all agree upon, then we will adopt it, and then we'll pass it on to our federal and state elected officials. Lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the shooting at the hospital. That morning I was driving to the hospital when this happened, and usually that's the time I go to the hospital, and I was stopped by the police, so I had to wait till things cleared up before I could go to the hospital. I really can't thank enough the staff in the ER. They did a phenomenal job. Everybody came together, and again, our prayers are with Officer and who was shot, who's fortunately recovering, so we are praying for him and his family. And so the staff at the hospital here, the staff at Memorial South Bend, they have done an exceptional job, and I'm hoping he will recover fully. That's all. Thank you.
Well, I just have one thing, well, a couple of things. I hope you all had a wonderful Memorial Day and a safe Memorial Day weekend. Don't forget also, we have Juneteenth coming up. There are a lot of activities that is going to be taking place with the Michigan City Park and Rec right here at our beach, on our beachfront. Go to the Michigan City website. You can see all the events that will be forthcoming, like from here on out. There's all kinds of things to participate in. If you don't have anything to do, it'll give you somewhere to go with your child or children or your adult family members. Also, one of the bigger things, Michigan City got graduation coming up, correct? June 6th? Congratulations to all of the seniors of the class of 2026 from Michigan City High School. And if I missed Marquette, the parochial schools, congratulations to all those students just as well. God bless and have a good evening.
Madam President?
June 7th, my correction, June 7th, Michigan City High School graduation. Thank you.
Yeah, Madam President? I just had my light on. I'm waiting.
Oh, you just turned it on. Yes, Councilman Prisbalinski.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, and I just want to talk about Memorial Day and the Memorial Day celebrations that were in the city. As usual, participated at the Memorial Day Parade. I want to thank all the veterans organizations and all the other organizations that took place there. And the memorial that they had at Greenwood Cemetery was wonderful. And I just want to give a big, great shout out to the cemetery superintendent, Jeff Lineski, and his crew for the fantastic job they did at Greenwood and Swan Lake cemeteries, making them the best they've ever looked before. And I think we got one of the best, if not the best, cemetery superintendent in the state of Indiana. As Dr. Cora was talking about, Deputy Samuelson, all my prayers and thoughts, and I'm sure everybody in the city, and I know that they have a lot of fundraisers, and it's going to be, I know he's coming along quickly, but I know it's a long road to go yet. So, yeah, that was a very, very unfortunate situation, and yeah, to have individuals like that to did what they did to that young man is terrible. But other than that, hey, let's move forward, and everyone have a great evening. Thank you.
Councilman Dabney?
Yes, yes, she called on me because she mentioned something that's coming up, and I just wanted to do a quick explanation for the people who do not know. What is Juneteenth? Juneteenth is a celebration, African American celebration, and this is how this came to be. Back in the olden days of slavery, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which was supposed to be the actual freeing of all the slaves. But they came to find out 2 years later, after Emancipation Proclamation was signed in Galveston, Texas, is where they realized that there were still people who were enslaved 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And those folks were still, like I said, they were slaves for 2 more years until they were discovered and freed. So I just want to, because she mentioned there's the Juneteenth celebration on the 19th, and what is it all about? A lot of people don't know what it's about, but that is the actual day that the African Americans celebrate the freeing of the slaves. So 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, there were still slaves working in Galveston, Texas, and that's what we celebrate as the actual freeing of slaves. So the people just a quick history lesson there. Thank you, Ms. President or Madam President, for calling on me to be able to explain that. Thank you, I appreciate it.
May I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a good evening, everyone.